Earlier this year, I talked about how I really liked Witch Hat Atelier as an anime overall, but I felt that the voices of the four young girl characters were kind of generic and didn't match how I felt they would speak when I read the manga. And it turns out there's a Japanese slang term for this experience, which is kaishaku chigai, or a difference in interpretation. Now, if you're like, that just sounds like a normal word, well, it kinda is. I can find uses of kaishaku chigai going back to 1984, as you can see in this textbook, which I'm not going to tell you all how old I am on the internet, but this does predate my birth, wherein somebody is asking for help understanding what they perceive as a discrepancy in a question about architecture, and they use kaishaku chigai to wonder if there is actually an error in the question or if it's just a problem with their understanding. So it's pretty literal. In the Otaku verse, though, kaishaku chigai has a more specific meaning, which is that you have a difference of opinion with somebody else regarding your interpretation of a specific media product or element of a media product. So if you, for instance, believe that character A should act in the way B in situation C, but someone else believes they should act in way Z in that scenario, then you have a kaishaku chigai with them. And this other person can be the official media product itself, as in these people talking about how they think a strict character in the Doraemon anime slash, Doraemon fictional universe would never act in a silly manner, so the depiction of them acting silly in a given anime episode creates a kaishaku chigai for those fans. Or, for instance, if you're reading a manga like Hunter x Hunter and this character is suddenly depicted in their old version like this, and you go, that's not how I imagined them looking when they were older, that would create a kaishaku chigai. Even though you are disagreeing with the person that I guess has the literal and legal authority to decide what that character looks like. But obviously, kaishaku chigai can occur between fans as well. For any kind of difference, actually, even just preferences. The comic that you're looking at here, for instance, comes from the Pixiv dictionary page for kaishaku chigai, and just shows two fans disagreeing on whether or not stories should have happy or sad endings. So this is like their kaishaku of the purpose and value of the art they enjoy. And keep in mind, though, that our old understanding of kaishaku chigai is just any kind of interpretive difference still exists out there. So if you look for this term online or see it online by chance, if it shubarus onto your feed, for those of you who are up to date with my videos, you might find posts like this, where somebody is just talking about different understandings of what it means to clean up. And this is not an otaku thing. This is just like, does clean up mean make a space, or does clean up mean put in a line? That's a kaishaku chigai in the traditional sense that has always existed. And apparently it's a very interesting kaishaku chigai, as 57,000 plus people like this example of a kaishaku chigai. But otaku-focused use of this term is so common today that there's even like a BL manga centered around this, which uses kaishaku chigai in the title of the manga. And no, I did not read it, but I did find a synopsis. And basically the idea is that there's an otaku who has two oshis and they ships them together in his mind, but they end up like hooking up with him. And that's a problem. That's a kaishaku chigai for this person because he wants them to hook up with each other. But in reality, he's, let's just say that a very extreme kaishaku chigai has occurred in the difference between what this person fantasized about and what is happening to them in fictional real life. But don't kaishaku chigai this entire video and assume this is like a BL term. It's a generic otaku term. As in this example here, which is about somebody saying that a character from the game Needy Girl Overdose has a voice in the game that they think fits the character, but the voice for that character in the anime version of the game does not in their opinion. So again, kaishaku chigai. And you can even have a kaishaku chigai with yourself, like this person here who doesn't believe that their body type matches the Miku cosplay that they are engaging in, creating a kind of imbalance which caused them to give up on the cosplay. And here's another kind of BL-focused example, where somebody quotes a tweet talking about how fujoshi or female fans of BL are quite strict on kaishaku chigais, like they don't like it when a character behaves in a certain way. And someone kind of amusingly, I think, notes that BL itself is often a kaishaku chigai because people that are not, fujoshi, not fudanshi, etc., which for non-BL specific products, of course, is the majority of readers, find the idea of these characters being put in a sexual relationship a bit of a kaishaku chigai from their normal assumption of how these characters would behave. To sum all this up, then, I'd just like to highlight this post because I think it has an explanation of kaishaku chigai, which will cause a kaishaku chigai for very few people, in noting a number of common causes of kaishaku chigai. Noting, for instance, that if in a media product character A is cold to character B, possible sources of kaishaku chigai in this could be someone interpreting that A hates B, 2, that A likes B and was teasing them, 3, that A likes B but was acting cold out of embarrassment, 4, that A didn't intend to be cold but B took it that way, or 5, A is like a sadistic type, so acting cold is how they show their interest. All of these are potential interpretations, and because art is open to interpretation, kaishaku chigai are going to exist, again, even between fans and potentially the author. So when did this like otaku-y stuff all start? Well, again, because this term is like normal word, it's impossible to find a definitive origin time. But Google Trends does show consistent interest since 2012, and I don't think people were like searching for this term before it became an otaku thing that much online, so this may be an important start or at least popularization point. And for what it's worth, I only found 5 uses of this term on Twitter from the start of Twitter until the end of 2011, and then there were 5 in 2012 alone, the same in 2013. Now that's not a lot, but the fact that there are 5 in each of these years where there was only 5 in total up to those years, I think is important to note. And once we hit 2014, I was able to find multiple scroll bar refreshes worth of use of this. So I'm guessing that popularization of this among the otaku community around the start of the 2010s or so is a solid timeline. And if you disagree, well, then you at least know how to say that. I can also explain the spikes. The one in 2018, I think, is the Hunter x Hunter post, as that was posted in December, same time as the spike, and it went very viral. The one in 2024 seems to be this post here, which is quote tweeting somebody saying that a character at Disney is acting like inappropriate because there's a man inside. The quote tweet says, no, the problem here isn't that. The problem is that there's a Kaishaku Chigai, and that anyone who has seen the Aristocrats film that this character comes from knows that that's not how that character would behave. And that tweet did go viral using this word, again, popping up the interest. So there you go, that's what Kaishaku Chigai means. That's probably kind of how it developed as a term and popularized on the internet. And I think it's a term that has legs and will probably see use for plenty of years to come. Although, of course, feel free to disagree.